It's bad, but it's kind of funny. So, yeah.
Well, for one, they don't know you.
Yeah.
So you can't
Yeah.
even personalize it. But at
Right.
first, you're like,
Right. Where did
Okay.
that come from?
yeah. Oh, yeah, that's.
I like that. Just put it ahead in front of me just for.
Welcome to She Says with your host,
we're gonna go.
Stephanie Regalado. She Says guests share stories from their challenges to
Okay.
successes and, most importantly, the journey of womanhood woven alongside the collaboration of sisterhood. From self, love, friends and family, to hot topics, career, and world views, Stephanie and her guests discuss matters with utmost openness and honesty. So let's hear what she says. Here's Stephanie.
Hello, welcome to She Says. I have my very special guest because it's a double down for your money or double trouble or something. Stephanie Cates, two Stephanies.
Double
today.
Stephanie.
Double Stephanie. Stephanie take 2.0.
Double the fun?
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Of course. We're going to kick off right away. I'm really curious about your role as chair for the Spokane, and I don't know if it's Spokane County or Spokane.
Yeah, Spokane County,
Spokane County is the
Republican
official
Party,
Republican
or GOP.
Party.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
So what is your
So-
your chair?
So I'm chair of the Spokane GOP and for Spokane County, and it's a role that I took on December 2016. I was elected,
Okay.
so I'm in my second year, and it's a 2-year term.
Okay.
But before that, I was vice chair, and before that, I had another leadership role. So I'm going on about 5 years of really big involvement with the party.
And how long have you been a Republican?
I can't say all my life. My parents are Republican, so, but they were always really careful to let me decide, to let me know what each party stood for. And I knew they supported, Reagan over Carter and everything like that. But I remember one time that Jimmy Carter was president, and he came on the TV, and I booed him. And my mom said, "No, we shouldn't do that. We may not like him, but he's our president, and you need to show respect for him." That stuck with me. In fact, I bring it up to my mom sometimes, and she's like, "I said that, really?" But they really let me decide, and I went to a very conservative college, and I had a little rebellious period where I was kind of more on the liberal side. And you know what they say? It's like if you're young and you're not a liberal, you have no heart, and if you're older and you're not conservative, you have no brain. Have you heard that?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, it wasn't until I got out into the real world after college and started making a paycheck and seeing what the government took out of it. And really, my views were kind of solidified after that. And I really made me appreciate how I was raised, but that I was really able to think for myself and arrive at those values by myself.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I definitely think that's all
Yeah.
kids should have a rebellious period of time.
Yeah.
No matter what their parents, if their parents like it or not. I think
Right.
that's the way that we find ourselves.
Yeah.
Well, and have you seen things change over the last couple of years with your involvement with Spokane GOP the last 5 years? Just with the climate.
Yeah.
The climate and
Well,
such.
the climate has really gotten nasty. And last year was a very intense year. Of course, we came from 8 years of Obama, and Republicans were really excited. We got the White House, and we have Congress. But of course, on the other side, there's this resistance movement, and you have a lot of people very upset at the results. And last year started off really intense. So right after the president was inaugurated, our GOP building was vandalized. So I hadn't been in this role for very long, and I, find this graffiti on the windows of the building. And so that was really unsettling. And then I went to a Spokane City Council meeting and there was a really amped up crowd. They were all against Trump's travel ban. And I testified because what I thought the city council was doing was really not in their purview, was really meant to, they wanted to make a statement against Trump. Well, okay, you're Spokane City Council. It's not your job. So I testified against that, and all these amped up people in the room stood and turned their back. Not all of them, but most of them stood and turned their back, and a lot of them gave me the finger. So, yeah.
Well, and here we were talking about earlier, before we went on, that with the social media aspect, that has upped the ante of nastiness because it's not humanized.
Right.
It's just one-dimensional thing. You call them keyboard warriors.
Keyboard warriors, yeah.
So I'm surprised. Well, and then I saw your post right around the Women's March last week or within the last couple of weeks, whenever that was. Yeah. That you had been warned not to go down.
Right.
Because you feared for what exactly?
And I part of why I wanted to go down to the Women's March, they were saying that, okay, no, it's not anti-Trump, it's not anti-Republican, and I kind of wanted to test that theory and see, okay, if I wear my Make America Great Again hat, and if I have a sign that says Trump is your president, or Trump's economy empowers women, because I think it does, how would they react? And not to be in your face, but just to kind of be silent and say, okay, this is what I stand for, and we may disagree. So how are you going to react? Because over and over I heard, well, we're for everyone. We want everyone to have a voice. That's what they said. And I told someone, I told some people, hey, I want to do this. Would you come down with me? Oh, I don't know. I don't feel safe. I don't know. And I told some other people, and they couldn't go, but they said, well, make sure you take someone with you. Make sure this, make sure that. And it was really sad. And I do kind of wonder, as I looked at the video of the crowds and what they were saying and the signs that they were holding, how I would have been received. Yeah. I think it would have been a good test.
I think so too. I wish we could turn back time.
I know.
And I could go along with you just to observe.
Yeah.
Grand observer.
Right. As a neutral,
yes.
neutral.
No kitty hat, no sign.
Right.
Right. Well, and I find that, that's the most frustrating thing for me. So I'm definitely more liberal. I guess it's become not a secret in the world. I thought it was because I was quieter about it, but then you end up not being so quiet in ways that are still quiet, but whatever. It always comes out. But I know you as a human, and I adore you as a human. We've had time together just as friends in groups and in group settings. So, and it was hard for me to see, especially after your Inlander piece came out. That was another time where there was this influx of, that power, the turning your back and flipping the bird type of movement. Nothing's going to be solved that way.
No,
nothing
it's not
at all. So how do you feel, and what do you feel is your position or within your power as a woman who's a conservative to help bridge that gap in any way, or what are you doing to do your part to kind of decrease that space between sides? As much as we don't want to have sides, and there used to be this blending. Right. You go liberal and then
the spectrum, the different
spectrum, and
stripes,
now it's like
and now it's you got to choose your side, choose your battle. Obviously, I'm very passionate about what I believe in, and I'm not going to waver. I do like that we can be friends, and what I really appreciate about you is that you have, I think, challenged people to not call names and to not be angry and to not dehumanize someone because you see a lot of that. And, I can disagree with someone's policies and still respect them as a person. And I think we should strive for that. And probably the best example, I I don't do it perfectly, but I think probably the best example is Kathy McMorris Rogers. I have grown to, I know her as a person, as a friend. I worked with her as the head of the GOP, and I am just so inspired by how she takes a lot of hits and she takes a lot of very rude behavior towards her, but I don't see a hardened heart. I see a graciousness, and and she is just able to not take it personally. It has to hurt. Do
you think it would look different if she was a man?
That's an interesting question. If they would treat her differently or worse, or
the type of vitriol that's gone toward her, do you feel it would be different if it was a male?
I don't know. I think what I have felt and what I have experienced is that there is kind of a special animosity towards conservative women. Women, because we're told that we're betraying our gender, or you must really hate yourself if you voted for Trump, or how can you believe that? You're an idiot. I think there's a special animosity towards women. So I think it's probably more so than if she were a man. But again, what I've seen and in private conversations is a very, very humble, very very gracious heart in her. So.
And as you reflect back on your time, are there moments that you wish you could have you could go back and scrub, where you may have contributed to divisiveness and polarizing?
Yeah, I think so. There's it's a balance. I'm passionate. I want to express my views. And this can be a challenge, for you to, if you see that I'm crossing a line, to say something. Now, I know we've had some discussion about snowflake, the word snowflake, the word, and it's funny. I was thinking about that because the word deplorable was used against Republicans by Hillary Clinton, and that was very telling as to how she viewed, half of the population. Right. But our side has kind of embraced that. I can't tell you how many little T-shirts or mugs or anything that says deplorable, proud deplorables. We had an event last year for the GOP, and someone made a basket, like a life-size basket for people to take a photo in. That was the basket of deplorables. So we kind of embraced that and just poked fun at it. And you have to have a sense of humor to do this stuff. So, I don't ever want to. I want to be seen as criticize the policies, and the not the person.
Right.
So to remove someone's humanity, you use a term like deplorables or something. That's funny. You use idiot. Well, no. No, that's not. Yeah.
That's something people have written into the magazine.
Exactly.
And as soon as I'm very open to having any discussion with anyone. It's just really hard for me to entertain a discussion, even though I do so respectfully, for as long as I decide we're done here.
Sure.
Because I teach my children better than that. So, it's game over when you start calling names, I feel.
Right.
And now deplorables and snowflakes has washed out its power, I think, a little bit. And some of the Democratic side has taken snowflake on as some sort of badge of honor as well. Everyone's been playful because that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
But the thing that surprises me most, and it's about the women's marches too that we talked about, there are so many people within these, even as Republicans and conservatives and liberals, et cetera, so many people are representing their own lives and reasons that it isn't a blanket of humans anyway. And so the hard part is people have an idea about, they immediately think that because I had put something in the magazine about the Women's March last year, they immediately thought that I was against Trump, and I wasn't even seeing it with all the filters. People did come as anti-Trump.
Sure.
And they did come wearing different body parts, female body parts on their heads. And I'm not seeing that I don't see everybody as a blanket then in that space.
No, I think, well, the Women's March was a news event. So, I mean, you cover it because it's a big event in our community. The thing for me about that march is, I mean, I think it's more powerful if you have a definite message. What's your message?
Right.
And the messages were all over the place.
That,
oh, no,
truly.
It's not. I mean, a lot of it was anti-Trump. And then it was, pro-Planned Parenthood and indigenous peoples and everything. So it was kind of a muddled, I don't know what you stand for, but it doesn't look like you stand for what I believe in.
Well, and then it was like the message you said, this is about everyone. More so, I think I saw that in this last March. And I did totally agree where they said that Kathy McMorris Rodgers wasn't able to attend, but she sent a video. And at first that was publicized. That video would be shown, and then it was taken out, and they said they weren't going to show it. And I am an absolute stickler. I think like you and your respect for who's holding presidency, I'm an absolute stickler to your word.
Yeah.
And if you give your word, and it just looked bad, and that's hard.
Sure.
To want to be a part of when it's like you're saying, there's so many different messages, and it's just becoming such a mess.
Yeah.
And you don't know what anyone really believes or stands for. So
we
have to take a quick break already.
Okay.
And then we'll be
goes
right back.
fast.
I know.
Welcome to Tom Sawyer Country Coffee.
Tom Sawyer Country Coffee only roasts the finest organic coffee for our signature blends. Enjoy a cup at our coffee shop and local businesses and organizations across the region.
I'm Tom Sawyer, and we choose the Pacific Northwest.
Last year alone, Avista customers saved over 53 million kilowatt hours of energy, enough to power more than 4,000 homes for an entire year. Way to save, everyone. Way to save. Find your way to save at avistautilities.com.
What? You haven't been to the library lately? Stop in today and see that the library is more than books. Spokane County Library District facilities feature on-site technology, including Wi-Fi, computers, and printers, as well as free use of meeting rooms. The Library District offers events and programs for all ages, from story times to career development and employer classes to Social Security workshops. Our staff is well trained and happy to help. Find out more about your library at scld.org.
We are back with She Says and Stephanie Cates. We're plowing in for that after that little interruption back from our sponsor. So it's grand, and we appreciate it very much. So we were talking about just the climate of everything and what a mess it can be. And there are so many women I love and adore and appreciate. And it doesn't matter what they stand for.
Sure.
But it is, and I do my best not to judge, although they say everyone judges, no matter how hard you try not to.
Yeah, we're human.
And I'm really going to teach my kids this a lot about. We can allow other people to express themselves fully. And it's only when it comes in and it's somewhat harmful for you that you should then have a say in what they're doing at the time. But so there's this level of nastiness and war, and I've witnessed it with people I care about very much who will probably be very angry that I'm even having a pleasant conversation with you, which made me want to do it even more because we're two women with lives and loves and community and full-time jobs and side gigs.
Yeah.
So on the GOP side, I don't even know how you do it because as president of NABO, I feel like I'm doing a completely disservice to that organization this year because I don't feel as though I've really balancing my time a lot. And there's so many times where if it's not on fire in front of my face, it often isn't what is being taken care of. And NABO isn't often on fire. So I was thinking, I mean, that's kind of a little truth serum testimony, but how do you, because this seems to take a lot of your time.
It does. It does. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of emotional energy too. So, yeah, I mean, I really try to keep that church-state separation between work and GOP. And so a lot of things get done at night or on the weekends, and that takes a lot out of me. I'll be honest, it takes a lot out of me.
Because there's the things to do.
Yeah.
And then there's the emotional side of it.
The emotional side. Yeah, and I'm an introvert. So to be kind of out there and it's depleting, and how introverts recharge their batteries is alone time. Mm-hmm. But too much alone time, isolating yourself, is not healthy. And just getting together with girlfriends fills my tank. So I did last night. I got together with some girlfriends that I didn't see for all of last year.
Oh my gosh.
And they're really good friends of mine. We can pick right up. Right. But I was just reminded, like, okay, I need this. This makes me healthier. This makes me better. And, it's going to make me more effective and not burn out. Yeah. So, that self-care is so important, but finding the right balance and not going too overboard on the isolation. Yeah.
Well, and then on the thick skin part.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you can develop a thick enough skin to just pop you out of the life game, kind of like the isolation, alone time. Yeah. So how have you managed that? And have you mastered not personalizing comments that have
No, but I'm getting better. The thick skin, I really struggled last year because you don't want a thick skin to harden your heart. Right. So it's that balance of the thick skin and the soft heart, because you still have to have compassion for people and you still have to care, and but not be wounded by what they say. Right. So, but a lot of it is, people see what I stand for, or they may read something in the Inlander or, on social media, and they'll make a snap judgment about who I am, and they've never even met me. Yeah. And, so they'll say these outrageous things. But it's made me more conscious. Okay, if I hear something about someone that's disparaging, I've got to take it with a grain of salt, because I don't know that person. Exactly. So it's made me better at how I view others as well. But so we talked about mean tweets.
Yeah, mean tweets.
Yeah, so
they aren't funny for some reason. Some of them.
I know.
It's because you have to have an element of humor in this stuff, or it'll just burn you alive.
Yeah, and if I don't know someone, obviously I can't respect them. I don't know them. I don't know who they are, and so I can't let it bother me. I mean, it's worse when it comes from someone I do respect or do know. That's when it really hurts. But so someone said this was after I was interviewed for the Women's March last year. The spokesman called me. I wasn't there, but they said, "Well, what's your take?" And I said, "I don't know why these women are marching for rights that they haven't lost, because we have a new president, because President Trump is in office. Women haven't lost any rights between, the time Obama, left office." So that's what I said, something to that effect. And then I got this message from this woman saying, "Everything about you scares me, like in a Twilight Zone episode." And so it was incredibly ignorant what you said. "You should be ashamed of yourself." And I'm like, just expressing an opinion, I may not agree with you. So, and then Kathy McMorris Rogers was booed and shouted down at the MLK March or the MLK rally like she was this year. And so I issued a statement about that. And someone said, "If you please, Miss Republican Chair, go to hell." It's like, I'm calling for civility. Right. How ironic is that? Yeah. Go to hell. And then I testified at city council, and everyone flipped me off. And one of the guys who flipped me off said, "You made your party look like an embarrassment the other night. And you don't stand for anything. And, you gave your party a well-deserved black eye." Like, aren't you the one who flipped me off? And so you have to laugh.
Those sound like they might be the tame messages that you've received, because I can only imagine. Well, and I started by mentioning the Inlander column, and then I scooted off on something else, because I was reading through a lot of those comments. I made the grave error of making my own little comment, which I regretted, because I don't like I feel like it's a lose-lose situation if you make a comment
Yeah.
politically or whatever about rights and responsibilities online at all. I've never felt
Yeah.
good. I've always wanted to just grab my skin right off my body.
It's like, don't engage.
I know. It's regrettable.
Yeah.
Do you read through the comments? They always say don't read the comments.
I did read through the comments, and because so the Inlander contacted 14 different women in the community, and to their credit, they did conservative women as well as liberal, all parts of the spectrum, and
For the Me Too movement.
For the Me Too, yeah, they wanted our take on what the Me Too, and they said you could go anywhere with it. So my column was about, just to briefly summarize, I lamented, I thought, well, maybe a return to some traditional values would be good, and I kind of expanded on that, and some other things, and I said, women should carry themselves with dignity and, just be empowered. And I mentioned the Second Amendment. And anyway, so, you say things like that and some people get triggered. Yeah. So a lot of people got triggered. So my column, when they posted it, got like hundreds and hundreds of comments compared to all the others. So I naturally was curious, like, oh, what do they say? And and then I made the comment, I'm like, I never knew I was such a horrible person until I became a head of the GOP. And then all of a sudden, you're awful. So, so again, I had to just take that with a grain of salt. And so, last year was a really steep learning curve. I think this year will be better. It doesn't mean it's easy. Yeah. And, I read... I'm passionate about this, right? Mm-hmm. But I read something recently, and I may have seen it before, but it really jumped out at me recently. To the Latin root of passion means to suffer. So you're following your passion. It's not all puppy dogs and butterflies, and it's not euphoria all the time. It's often a struggle to do something you're passionate about.
Do you find yourself feeling defensive when you were reading through those comments?
A little, but I knew, the people, you kind of can get a sense from the comments if you can kind of persuade someone. If they're just, if they're going to say, oh, go to hell, or everything about you scares me, well, I'm not going to win that person over. So I'm not going to waste my energy on that. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, and I was one of the commenters who challenged you, and you did comment back.
Yeah.
And that whole thread went sideways, and I bounced out of there so fast as I could. Because several women that obviously know you or I don't know, it was just so bad. I just ended up having, the whole thread was overtaken with vagina cat photos. And saying that I was skipping around. It was so frustrating. But one of the things there's such a delicate line between, you made the comment, there are some people you don't know, so you don't even know if you respect them. Mm-hmm. And I think everyone, how we treat others and how we feel about others always says more about us than anyone else.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like anyone needs to earn respect. I feel like it's how we operate toward them.
Sure.
And that is an operation toward them.
Yeah.
But
I'm not going to give them the power to hurt me.
Well, never, even if you respect them.
Right. Yeah.
You still have to understand
it's tougher
they're human
when
and they have that spectrum.
Right. We're all flawed.
When they unveil those dark sides, it is a little sting. And so I understand. You're just saying it as a power thing. Mm-hmm, I've got that. And the thing I challenge you for is talking about returning to values as a way to prevent Me Too from continuing on. Mm-hmm. And I question that as a victim blaming stance.
Okay. Yeah.
That was part of what I had, but it was thwarted in other ways. How do you feel?
Well, yeah, and
that challenge?
that is a delicate thing because there, as a woman, we have to be aware of our surroundings. We have to be aware of situations we put ourselves in. And so, you can't just expect to walk downtown, at midnight around the bars by yourself or in an alley. And, we should feel safe in our community, but to think that you can get into any situation and not have anything bad happen to you is naive. So,
And
to return
those are easier to think of.
Yeah.
Like the blunt ones, but I'm just thinking of coming off of the Larry Nassar case where there was more than he molested, in a sense, more than 150 young girls.
Right.
And I don't know that there's any value system that could for
no,
a woman
absolutely
to adopt
not.
or hear.
Absolutely not. I'm thinking about things like, okay, online dating, and if you go to, meet a guy once and then go to his apartment or his house after meeting him once and only on that, I'm saying don't put yourself in that situation because you don't know that person.
Right.
I mean, to me, it's common sense. Some of these common sense things that we can control. Right. I mean, it's not taking the blame off the perpetrator, for sure, but I can't control that person's behavior. I can control my behavior and what situations I put myself in and whether I am, have some means of self-defense or not. Yeah. So as much as I can control it.
Right. And I think on that level, that is an empowering, within the sisterhood, empowering one another, saying these are the things that we need to do to be very eyes wide open about this life and these risks. And my best friend from high school lamented several years after we graduated, why didn't we ever do spring break? And looking back, I'm like, we should have done spring break right after high school and such. I'm like, we might not have survived it. Yeah. I mean, it's scary. I think of when I think of the Me Too, it's almost embarrassing how many little moments I can recall. Some of those were positions I put myself in. Some of them were not. And it's a scary thing. I tell my girls that all the time. We have those conversations. But it is also good to make sure that they understand that they don't bring it on.
Right.
And that's the delicate line of victim shaming.
As much as you have power. I mean, because I know you've written about what happened to you with that drink that was spiked. Yes. And, so...
And that was awful.
Yeah.
The experience was awful, but writing about it and the backlash I received was awful.
Oh.
I was threatened lawsuits by the establishment. There were people that said I was throwing them under the bus, and I wasn't. I was saying I had this experience, and because my original Facebook post about it, all these people were messaging me saying, women saying, and then I had this happen to me too. That's why I pushed it a little further as more of a public service. Yeah, it's
be aware that this could happen.
Yes,
because you can say, and I just thought, okay, women, don't. I mean, if you're going to be out by yourself or at a frat party or something, don't have, don't get totally sloshed. I mean, that's another thing. But there's also the reality that, I mean, you could be I'm just going to have one drink, and the bartender hands it to you, or you turn away. Yeah. I mean, they're so complicated. And there's so many things.
I asked Jen Evans this too. If your life was a snow globe and you could shake it and all the pieces would fall down differently, is there anything that stands out to you that would be different than right now?
That would be different. Yeah. That would be different.
If you could choose how everything.
Wow. I mean, I can look back on situations that were so totally painful, but they make me who I am today. And I mean, everything in the past year, I mean, and I have to bring my faith into it, because to me, I can't do this. I can't do this without God. So I mean, there were situations that just brought me to my knees, face down before God, and that's good. I mean, that so to learn to exercise that faith muscle and to trust Him. That okay, I don't know how I can do this all, or I don't know how I'm gonna fix this situation. Right. And at the very last minute, He did. So, I don't know. Can I change anything? I don't know. I mean, my parents are still with me. I have great friends. I guess I just, you think if I could just have more time, more hours in the day to do everything I want to do. Yeah. So
I promised we'd talk about your cats. They're going to cut us off soon. You have two cats. One's newer, right?
Yeah.
And they're integrated? I think I saw a picture where
fight.
maybe they were napping close together.
Yeah, they nap and they fight and they cuddle and they fight. And they, humans could learn a lot from them. We
Yes.
fight and then, we're mad at each other.
Yes.
But they fight and then 10 minutes later they're snuggling. So,
Right.
no, I just love pets. Pets are so good because they're so good for our emotional
Yeah.
support, right?
That's one thing I love so much about you, sharing about your cat adventures, because when my kiddos aren't with me, I have my 2 little dogs.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm the crazy little dog person. And I love them so much. They're my
know.
little therapy. I mean, they make me crazy too, and I have to threaten their lives occasionally just to keep it real. But I love that about your love of your cats.
I do. I think it's more socially acceptable now.
Yeah.
I mean, cat videos are everywhere.
And you only have 2.
I only have 2.
Do you think you'll have more?
Sounds like children.
I
Will
know.
you have more?
Yeah.
Well, I can only have 2 in my condo, so
thank
2
goodness for
unlimited.
rules.
2. Yeah, 2's good. 2's good.
And I love your condo. You have a beautiful view. That must
yeah,
be
I
a
love
respite.
I love it. It is. And I don't have to take care of an outside of something. I don't have to shovel. I don't have to worry about a lawn or, that's been very freeing as far as, stepping up what I've been doing in other areas. I don't have to worry, oh gosh, I've got to mow the lawn tonight. Yeah, I love that. And I think we're going to see more of that. Because I talk to a lot of people my age or a little bit older, like, gosh, that looks so great. I wish I could. I wish we could downsize.
Absolutely.
It is very freeing. I highly recommend it.
Especially if people like to travel as well.
Mhm.
You're not stuck at home.
Yeah.
The home's beautiful.
Yeah.
All right, we have to wrap this up. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate the open, honest dialogue. And I look forward, truly, knowing that you're in the role that you are.
Thank you.
To be a beacon of light and positivity for what you believe in and what the GOP believes in. I mean, when we're talking 50-50-ish,
Yeah.
we all really need to get along and be able to understand we can live together civilly, and even respect one another.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And still be working toward the things we feel is important in our lives. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
She Says is produced in Spokane, Washington by SpokaneTalksOnline.com, which is solely responsible for its content.